leaders have said, there's a way this policy was tailored to look to the president to give his assent and approval. Let's hope going forward, whoever is the commander-in-chief can also, have his own fair assessment of, because your advisors are just there to tell you what to do. You are meant to take your decision. And this is rather out of character, because what we've heard over time is the president takes decision bearing in mind the people that are vulnerable, that are far from, being technologically savvy.
Comrade, Supreme Court injunction will elapse on Wednesday, and of course there will be hearing and all of those. What do you make of these and some of the suggestions?
Well, it gives the federal government an opportunity to say that, okay, for what the court has said, we must suspend the law of our land. Immediately you have to accede to what the Supreme Court said. Every finger is pointing to the fact that this policy has failed them. When they first started, just like the Republicans who bring one of their very brilliant manifestos that is good for the people, but they lack the capacity to make Americans understand the gun policy. Say, if someone comes to your house, there should be casualty on both sides. Nobody will hear that and say you should license anybody. But it's actually good to give people some level of self-defense when criminals come to your house with a gun. The policy on let's take care of people who don't work, the way they take it to the people know there are people who are economically, but I require not say even the recent Medicare that Trump is saying that it will not work when he becomes the president. The way he but I like it because
is it Trump or Biden?
No, Biden is bringing it up. Trump is assuring that when he becomes the president, is going to kill it. Okay. And I agree with Trump that young people are beginning to enter into crisis of who they are. The Biden's medical law that a child has the right to say that it's no longer a boy, he's a gay. And Trump is saying that he has never heard of this kind of aspiration in his life. Why must America be champion? So, but the way Trump will say it, he will not support him, which is the case with this Naira too. So the court has given the federal government an opportunity. When people say we should not blame Buhari for everything, the structure of the land defines Buhari as the alpha or omega of our life. He controls our economy. He appoints all the minister. All the security are under him. He doesn't have business with security of any state. His business is defense, not security. But in defense and security, which is the duty of the governor, he holds this very close to his chest. So we blame him for everything. One of his primary responsibility is currency, but he doesn't have time for it. When he's busy looking at what states are doing, busy looking at what resources do you have in your state, busy looking at things that are not the business of our president. So for me, I voted for Buhari. I can pass for Buhari. I still like Buhari. But as long as any Nigerian thinks like we can prosper with this kind of political structure, it will continue to run us into this kind of crisis. So the policy, we have to move away from it. We will not change our standard. Let's move away from this policy. Don't attempt to make it look as if it's going to work. It's from between now to election. There are major challenges with this coming election. This election looks as if we are getting independence. You can't give people who don't want the election to hold the opportunity. So, when you create a platform for oil racketeers, you create a platform for currency traffickers, you create a platform for people who have legitimately worked for their money, sweat for their money, to combine and fight your government. How do you think you can survive it? So, the most sensible thing for our people, our guys in government to do now is to convince the problem, lie low. If what you are saying is a soft landing for themselves, I like it. Introduce a new Naira note, and they have to expedite it. I've been to bank this morning. Bank has not giving money. No cash in bank, either old or new. There is no cash. The president must know that. The racketeers are taking over the process from the CBN governor, and the CBN governor does not have. I said repeated that the racketeers are stronger than it starts in national dimension. So whatever we are going to have those notes, don't burn it. Just keep bringing it out.
Those are the same people. Those are the same people. They said that the hoarders of the Naira, the same people this policy is supposed to target. Now they are holding sway, So this policy,
the way the racketeers work is that they have legitimate accounts. Why is it that they have not been able to arrest any bank? There are legitimate accounts that when the CBN get there, their papers are in order. When you bring 10 billion to any bank today, in 10 minutes it's gone. Two legitimate, do what looks as if it's legitimate, they will fill teller, fill everything, and to disappear. So it's not a day's job to catch those rackets. It's not a day job. We have to look at it from how it started. So the time for us to do that is not available.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Moshebi. So at this point in time, with what's on ground, of course, 2 days. In 2 days' time, like we said, we want to look at what's happening again. Some have said that policy should be suspended. Seems.
Well, ultimately, a cashless policy basically means more payments are done online, right? And you reduce the imprint of cash in daily activities. We know some of those advantages. We're always saying it is rushed. Again, anything that happens always has political undertones. Like I said, in 2 days' time, we'll know what's up. The National Council of State cannot be seen to cannot be seen to go against what the Supreme Court is saying. I mean, that would be a political blow for people contesting elections now, Again, it makes us appreciate what the next person coming into power must do to fight for the man on the street. And again, this is it goes to show that technology will save our lives. Imagine this had happened at a time when the only credible source of news was newspapers. Somebody can easily deny that all the noise you're hearing on the streets are propaganda, but not everybody can see. There was a particular bank that we saw this interesting way where bankers were escaping through the back door, through a ladder. On my WhatsApp group, one of our friends in the diaspora just said, "That's our junior in school." And the thing just made a difference. He just realized that, wow, that's somebody and anything could have happened to her. Thank God she got out of there safely. And we're laughing that it means when she was in school. What we're saying is that until this thing has a human face, it looks like something happened to somebody else. I was at a bank on the island. My own bank told me they didn't have cash. I had to go to a different bank. And I saw bank staffers staying in the queue and directing us. And I was like, I have an account with these people. I will make sure I keep my account with these people. And they were like, you can't withdraw more than 10K. And if you want to do more than 10,000 naira, you go and join back the queue that was growing. You understand? But at least there was cash. A POS merchant was there with her POS. And in her mind, at least I'm collecting cash without charges and all of that. Other banks will just tell you can't collect more than 2K. Imagine 2K. Some people have not seen new notes of 5 naira in their lives in a long time. And you'll be carrying out in bags. It doesn't make sense, particularly when the price of goods and services have not changed. So we know that the APC, the government in power, is something this one guest here has said. The essence of the law is to catch the guilty, not to punish the innocent. And the guilty will always misbehave, so you will catch them. And if you cannot catch them immediately, it means you need to refine your systems. The people that hoard cash are the people that will hoard cash. We've had stories of governors making bank calls to managers saying that I need to change this money, And we know that this has been one of the most peculiar Januaries before an election, right? But again, it is what it is. Nigerians must design solutions for Nigeria, basically.
05897 1897 05897 1897 05897 5897 05897 5897 and of course the WhatsApp line 05897 5897 05897 5897. You can of course call us and let's have your contribution. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Adam from Agbado.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, quickly, my contribution to the topic of the studio is just that. First, I I still agree the president, Mr. President, that the CBN is trying to do good to Nigerians to fight corruption. But the truth of it is, if CBN wants to, like, if you print more of any denomination of Nigerian notes, if it's 15 naira, if it's 100 naira, let that go into circulation. So whenever we get to bank to the ATM, if it is 5,000 we can access it, let's access it peacefully and find our way. Now, let's take for instance, my sister in the studio. Like you are driving and you had a flat tire, you had no cash on you, you can't even access the ATM, just to fix your tire on the road. It's annoying. It's annoying. Those are not, who are not even the politicians are the ones suffering this most. You hardly see any big man queuing in the bank because he wants to get his money. They make a call. So that's my own take on it. If it's 20 naira note, if it's 10 naira note, let them print that more in circulation so we can easily access the 5K. We know it's 5K everything. We know it's 10K. We know it's 2K. Whatever, you accept and get out. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your contribution right there. 0805-897-1897. 0805-897-5897. Comrade Olokoba, with this scarcity, people are saying it will give room for fake notes to thrive. Those counterfeiters would have swell time. And then we also hear in some rural places the issue of trade by barter had started since they didn't have, access to cash. Some have started using, trading in currency of other countries. Those that are close to the border, they're trading in currency of other countries. What does this portend for us?
Before people notes, the transaction was done by barter.
This 2023, Comrade.
I'm building up my argument.
All right.
And recently, we know the first person that started money transaction was China, and they are looking in the direction of also where they will operate without cash again. There's a whole city in China, millions of population that you can't see cash again. But it's over time. They build it over time. China is 1 billion. So they look at when 1 billion, if 1 billion people want to have their own cash, looking at the ink, the paper, and natural resources are fast disappearing because of the way we are using it. 7 billion people. The entire land mass is 500 billion. Water that is can drink is also 3% of the population of water in the world. So we are managing what we have, and that's one of the reasons why cash thing was going into extinction. But in replacement of it, what the internet banking and things like that. So it's fine if you want to do that. The area CBN governor must look at as part of the challenge of bringing in new note or making our currency paper transaction disappear is all those challenges, legitimate challenges like we have mentioned. The illegitimate challenge are the people bring up fake notes, and combined with the election, can we cope with it? So when it came on board, those are fears were expressed on social media, press releases, write personal letters to the president, warn political parties against it, that these are the dangers we have recognized. Can we cope with it? It comes with its own challenges, any policy. And the challenge regarding currency is a serious one. In fact, one of the major reasons security apparatus like FBI was introduced in America is not to secure the president, it's to secure their currency. So just to tell you that when it comes to the issue of currency, it's a serious business. It's not about gun running. It's a serious business. So combining the two together is dangerous for us.
Right.
So the people will stay on the side and watch you bring the currency on board, and they will introduce their own. They have their own CBN governor too. As you are printing your own currency, your own original one, they will be printing their own too, and it's in the market now. So you want to combat with those ones. You want to combat with people who will mop it up. Give me 6 billion. I will give you 6 billion old currency. Give me 5 billion. That one, they are also available too. So you have just pointed out an area where we have to also look at.
Let's take this.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Chinedu, calling from Lagos.
Okay, go ahead, Chinedu.
Okay, so what I want to say here is that Emefiele, the CBN governor, actually has a very good plan in doing this new currency thing. It's a very good plan, but I think it is coming at the wrongest of times. It is coming at a time where it will aid Nigeria to go into more problems, scarcity of funds, even scarcity the country. Look at what happened last week. It was like another NSAC wanted to start up, where people were going to the banks to boggle the banks, where people were going onto the streets, to cause mayhem. This is something that should be done on a very, very long time plan. It's not that you just do it suddenly. I want a country, after so many years that has been in turmoil, to be stabilized in 1 week. It's not done. So he needs to go back to the drawing board and make sure that things are done well again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chinedu.
All right, Mr. Omoshebi, let's look at the CBN Act again. We didn't vote for Emefiele. He's a professional banker, it goes without saying. But if we involve the parliament in decision making of this, I mean, they are the voice of the voiceless. They will know how we feel, where the shoe pinches. Don't you think?
Well, the thing is that he's a member of the executive. So what the parliament only has oversight is how to select him, perhaps, if they are even, And basically, when he's appointed, he just comes to give them briefing. And if you notice, most of the executive members of any government can play ostrich. They can be mischievous. How many times have they invited him? He goes at his own convenience and things like that. The critical thing is the parliament should amend the laws they have inherited to ensure that when state actors get there, they can be, they can be monitored effectively. You understand me? Because after all, the person can say, you hired me to do a job, let me do my job. And what has happened is that we've been bamboozled by so much data that suggests that anybody that is going against it is an enemy of progress. But that is a bloody misrepresentation of the facts. Why should people lose their lives? Like the last caller said, it was beginning to look like the politics was being heated up. There are some areas that have been that are so cash-based that, I mean, how do you explain that to somebody that just wakes up and thinks, why is life just getting very difficult? And this is one thing that has affected everybody, The CBN Act, like I said, I'm not sure it was a law promulgated during democratic time, because we've inherited this over time. And let's not forget, the military made laws convenient to them. They are a commandist structure, it's not dialogue, it's not representation and things like that. And it has been convenient. Some people have forgotten some of these laws and kept them to the side. And that's basically because maybe some of the policies have not been enacted by these people that affect us. But this shows that CBN Act needs to be reviewed, it needs to be investigated, and so that we can protect ourselves from, over high-handedness, for lack of a better word.
All right. So at this point in time, in the next couple of days, what do you see happening as we try to put to rest this and move on to the next issue?
Just like what my colleague has said, all the parliament can do is just a parliamentary persuasion. And that's what the picture we have about them when it comes to the kind of structure we operate. Tremendous powers be given to executive. It's just as if they are non-existent. The president can do virtually everything. When did you send off a president impeached in Nigeria? It's so cumbersome. It has happened in America. Even if it's also as difficult as our, but if you want to do so, you can also do so. So the way forward is what the people have been saying, that this policy, it is either you accept the judgment, you or completely set it aside. There's a trauma in the land and we are heading for fiasco. Don't let us use the remaining months of Buhari's government to begin to burn tires on the street and beginning to have a picture of what I've had in the days of the military. I don't want that to happen. Our democracy should be protected. Our democracy should be secured. We want this election to hold. I must make sure that any policy, apart from the Naira policy, the scarcity of soil, or whatever that's going to resolve this election, is put behind us.
All right, let's move on to the next issue. Countdown to 23 general election, appraising preparedness across board.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reassured that it will not support any candidate or political party in the 2023 general election, as it is only interested in the electoral process. Professor Mahmoud Yakub, the chairman INEC, said this when he addressed supervisory presiding officers, SPOs, for the 2023 general election in Abuja.
Yakubu urged them to be committed to their oath of neutrality and allegiance to Nigeria.
He advised them not to see their job as service to INEC, but the country as a whole, in which they were equal stakeholders.
All right, this is the area of personnel. How prepared are we across board?
Let's praise our preparedness in other areas as we count down to the elections.
Mr. Moshebi, when you came into the studio, before we opened the microphone, we were having conversation and we're saying it seems like it didn't seem like election is going to be holding in less than 2 weeks.
So it's two things. Can we say our democracy has matured to the point where the polity is not heated as we've thought it would be? But the thing is, it's a false positive. Why? What has made it look like election is not holding is the cashlessness going around, and people are facing their warrants to even protect their own economic well-being. With respect to the INEC pronouncement, I've not seen any time a government will come and say we're not ready for something, except maybe they use it to score a political point. INEC is saying they are ready, and yet we are seeing evidence of them trying to engage other contractors to move items for them in Lagos State particularly. What I always say is that government is not governance. Governance is when we look and investigate the nitty-gritty of what our society is doing. And on that, we are sorely lacking. A lot of us go to sleep once we do elections, Nobody remembers what INEC is doing until you have to collect your PVC or you have to do something that is frontal, Other than that, everybody is busy hustling. So INEC is saying all these things, and I'm like, how is this different from what the MFLA told us? I'm going to jail, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Anyway, they made some policy guidelines that have moderated how the elections are happening. There's been all the policy guidelines they released last year about the way we campaign, the way we do our electioneering. To a large extent, it has been respected, even though there will be some outlying situations where maybe people down the rank and file might not interpret it properly and things like that. At least, like I was telling some people, we've not seen all those very funny, interesting pictures of people snapping in prayer congregations. You just see, unlike before, by now, you'd have seen so many people kneeling on other certain GOs and collecting blessings for things like that. But that hasn't happened. Again, the preparedness of INEC will be on the day of the election itself. Now, I've seen certain things, and my concern is the INEC is there to just administer elections. The election itself, and I'm hoping our citizens can look beyond what INEC is doing, is to look at what they are also doing to make sure that the process is free, fair, and safe. There can be free and fair elections and it's not safe. You understand? So we are looking at how they can make sure that they vote in peace, how the citizens of a place, even those who are not voting, can defend the rights of those that are voting. You understand? And things like that. But all said and done, all these things is just what we call on the street lamba. By election day, we will know how prepared INEC is. By the time they are collating results, when there's network failure in certain respects.
Are you hoping?
I'm not hoping, but things happen, and that's why people that plan for projects have contingency plans. You understand? So I'm saying that we'll see how their contingency plans mitigate some of these things that happen, how soon they declare results, how there's no reversal of what they declared at things like that. That's when we will know they are ready, and the continuing voter education about how people should vote properly for their parties and their candidates.
Comrade, INEC, in the public domain all the time during elections like this, talking about their preparedness. Their preparedness, should it also include the safety and security of the ad hoc staff and the INEC staff? I mean, is that supposed to be in their purview?
That question, I thank you for asking me. INEC, this time around, has done their best. If you look at the number of registered voters, we have over 100 million now. Those are part of the advocacies of INEC and the civil society. And as part of our engagement with them, we have also told them that he said something that I want to catch on. That after election, between now and the next election, you don't hear of INEC. That is not correct. And those are the part of things that we have told them that you must be idle at all time. Your faith is tied to your PVC. And if that is the case, you can't be having 3.5 years vacuum. That's absence for 3.5 years. When election is coming, you start earning your voice again. In fact, it's the people this time around that applied for INEC logistics on behalf of the federal government. The federal government give INEC everything they have. Everything they needed, you must give them. And that's that's coming to your question. That is it their duty to secure? It's their duty. By insisting that the police, the civil defense, and all the necessary state apparatus must be made available. What logistics would they need? And INEC must emphasize the picture we are seeing in the southeast now. They must emphasize the picture we may likely see in the northeast. It's part of their duty. So, the security agent is just to deploy. They must work on INEC's brief. These are areas might have challenge. These are areas that the people themselves are their police. In Lagos now, you cannot disrupt the election in Lagos. We want the election. I want to vote. I know who I want to vote for. I can't see all these amazing things and say it to just go like that. So I must vote in. So there are areas that INEC should have mapped out by now as a danger zone. That worst scenario, if you don't vote here, if you don't vote, are we still going to have our election? Will kindly still be announced as a winner for presidency, for governorship? So it's their duty to advise all the security apparatus to do the needful. All we want to appeal to Nigerians is to continue to hammer it and continue to insist that there must be peculiar security institutions across the state. There must be state police, there must be local police. When you want to kill an ant and you bring out a sledgehammer, you're making the process look ridiculous. Our army should not be involved in our election. The military are sent to defend the country. It's not their job is not security. So we can't compound. You can't want to solve problem and create more problem for yourself. You are orientating the boys that has gone to school and learning how to defend the integrity of the nation, and also bringing them to say that you must come and be shaking hands with civilians again. It's a contradiction. So it's our next duty to provide security by advising the security personnel on what to do on election day.
All right, we'll still take your calls. 0805-897-1897, 0805-897-5897, or WhatsApp 0805-897-5897. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Casey, calling from Ikorodu.
Casey. Go ahead, Casey.
Please, I want to ask your guest, those areas that they have problem, like in my state now, some government officials and some parties are threatening people that they must vote some state of people. Whether are they doing something to check on that? Because that they are likely to be a violence in those areas. They have presented a one candidate and the kind of forcing it on people to vote for the person. So, and the campaign has been going on, touching people, doing all those sorts of things. Are they doing anything to make sure that people, because people may be scared to come out and vote for people of their choice that day.
Okay.
So are they doing anything to that kind of currency? They should announce to public that they're still accepting the old currency, because in my area they're not still correcting the old naira note.
Okay, what state are you talking about, Casey?
I'm from the state.
From where?
Ebonyi State.
Ebonyi. Okay, Ebonyi State. All right. Thank you, Casey. You want to react to that?
Like I said, that by now, INEC should have their master plans on all the trouble spots in the country. For Ebonyi now, for states like Anambra, for states like Borno, and all those areas that are volatile. What is their blueprint on how to make election hold? And you know that when INEC chairman wanted to get him demoralized, we have to tell him election will come with his own challenge. Don't tell us that If I had an encounter with my INEC chairman of Osun State when he came and said, I said, no, what you are saying is that you should be emboldening us. That no matter what, this election will hold. That's what you want to hear. So, in Ebonyi and all those states, INEC must have an answer. I believe that they must have an answer to that. And by now, the areas, by chance the election didn't hold there, what will be the fate of our voting that day? They should be able to tell us now. And once it has come out that even if there are violence in so area, we will see have the capacity under the law to declare a winner, and that's a consolation for us.
Mr. Moshe,
voter suppression happens in many funny ways, right? And what the last caller has asked is just a very tactical method of voter suppression, which is you instill fears in the minds of people who you perceive may be going against your preferred candidate by threatening violence to them. I was having a very hot conversation with some of my colleagues and classmates over the weekend, and what came out of it that it is the duty of the state to protect citizens, even though citizens also have their own responsibility for self-help. You know, as much as we know the police protects us, we all have our own private security guard and gatemen and things like that. So in this election process, like my co-guest has said, INEC is meant to make sure that the security agencies understand what they've seen as the soft targets and these spaces. But again, voter suppression is also about education. How many times does a citizen have to actually defend his future? One of the few times is how you empower yourself and how you vote for the leader that will do good by you, by the decisions they make. So what INEC should be doing is to go in on sensitization drives. And there's also something that you do, which is also the cultural compliance with the communities. A lot of our communities that are not in the urban areas are heavily invested with the traditional, authorities, You go deep down and do the needful. I'm aware that, and let me just use as an example, the last election that we had, I have it on good authority that a particular military officer needed to explain that there was not going to be any room for nonsense happening. He met the traditional ruler and explained that you'll be the first person responsible if anything breaks, if there's a breakdown or another here. Because with the way this community is configured, nobody will do anyhow if they don't have your implicit buy-in. So I mean, we need to engage across all sectors in this.
Comrade, final words on this.
Well, I see the light at the end of the tunnel as hope. It's not an optical illusion. There's hope that the election will hold, and what I will advise is total vigilance on all fronts, on security of our life, the defense of our democracy, and any policy that may tend to obstruct what all of us has been aspiring for. The federal government should listen to the advice that is coming to them left and right. They should be courageous enough to admit that our democracy is far more important than catching the thieves at this moment.
All right, we must thank Comrade Razak Olokoba, social political affairs commentator, for coming. Thank you very much. I appreciate you as always. And same for Mr. Leo Omoshebi, Director of Project PVC Niger. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for coming. It's an ongoing discourse. We must continue to talk about our dear nation, Nigeria, and make it better.
All right. Some are saying that quite a number of people are rejecting the old notes. It's still legal tender.
So it's against the law to actually, reject it.
Yeah, such people might be arrested. So, I mean, why would you be rejecting what is legal tender in the country? So, for as many that are still doing that, is still legal tender, you can still use it. So we should not come up with this, we are no longer collecting it and all that. All right, so that's it this morning. Big thank you to production crew, Cousin Fumlayo Mudukwela Dago, Joshua Maradisa. We thank Bumi Ajaimo Trasleman, Damilala Adebayo for helping out. ICT crew, we also thank them as well. Return again tomorrow, 6 a.m. on a fresh edition of The Breakfast Show. I am from me, Omoburiu.
And at DBC, they will say enjoy the rest of the day.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.